Hi there, my name is Ewan Nicholson. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Remembering Love. If you're new to this channel, this is a channel where we explore in detail and in depth subjects of healing childhood trauma, CPTSD, I'm never going to be able to pronounce that correctly, and all the various subjects and areas around that and in between, anxiety, meditation, healing, that kind of thing. So if you are new to this channel and you've not been here before and you like that kind of content, you just need to click on the like and subscribe button that's just here in my imaginary corner screen, and you'll get updates every week on the videos that I put out. And I put out videos pretty regularly. If you're not new to this channel and you've come back because you're very curious about weighted blankets, I really hope you enjoy this video. Now, the subject of today's video and the question we're asking in today's video are weighted blankets do weighted blankets live up to their hype? Like, should you get a weighted blanket? What are the good things about them? What are the bad things about them? And I'm here today to do a review on my weighted blanket. You can see here it's very heavy. I mean, you can't see it's very heavy, but you can see I'm holding it. It's pretty heavy. This is a 9-kilo one. And what I'm going to do in this video is go through answer a series of questions. So we're going to look at very briefly what is a weighted blanket. If you're not sure what one is, I'm going to take you through that. Most people know what one is already. Sometimes they're called gravity blankets. What do they cost? Where do you get them from, etc. But the more important questions is, what are the problems with weighted blankets? And I'm going to share with you a few problems I've had with my weighted blankets and what you need to be aware of. Why you should buy one. What are the benefits as far as I'm concerned? And I think a really important question is, do they live up to the hype? The things that are promised when you go on the websites that promote weighted blankets, are they able to fulfill on the things that they say they're able to do? And I will give you my understanding or answer on that. Now, before I start, this isn't an affiliate ad. This isn't a review that's really secretly me pushing a product. There are no affiliate links in the description. I'm not selling anything. I don't really care where you buy your weighted blanket from and who. This is just me reviewing my weighted blanket, just so we're very clear about that. Now, what is a weighted blanket? Let's look at this question. Now, a weighted blanket is pretty much how it's described. It is a blanket that weighs. Now, all blankets weigh, but this is a little bit heavier than your average blanket. Imagine chainmail that's very soft. So the idea of a weighted blanket is it creates a very light pressure that when you put the blanket on you, it weighs a little bit in a way where it feels like it presses down on you. And it's meant to mimic a kind of like a very mild hug, or a dog sitting on you, or a series of dogs evenly distributed across your body. It creates this very slight pressure. Sometimes if you go into old hotels and they have these really thick blankets and you kind of get under them, it's a little bit like that. In general, you're recommended to get 10% of your body weight. I got a 9-kilo weighted blanket, which is not 10% of my body weight. And I think you can guess in which direction that goes. It's actually less. And that reveals the chunky monkey that I am. And that was the most I could get, or my wife got it. My wife got it for me for Christmas. And their price ranges from, you can get pretty cheap ones for like $60 US, and they go all the way up to $200-300. You get the high end. I don't know whether they're weighted with gold dust or whatever it is, but you get this really high-end weighted blankets. The one I got was about $110 US, or like 195 euro, and it's been pretty good. I've had it for more or less a year. It's coming up to a year, and I haven't had any problems with it. So I didn't get the top end. I probably didn't get the cheapest. I got somewhere in the low cheap end, and I've been pretty happy with it. And what it is the actual, I don't know what it is, it's sand or there's something inside them, and it's distributed in the little pockets. So the weight is evenly distributed out through the blanket. So it's not like those old duvets where all the feathers go down the bottom. It distributes its weight across. So that's more or less what you're getting. Now, let me take you through some of the problems I've had. And I don't know whether you call these problems, just things to be aware of when you get a weighted blanket. Now, a very basic one is, if you live in a hot climate, it is a little bit problematic. I live in southern Spain, and for 6 months of the year at least, during the night, the temperature is over 20 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for American listeners, but to me, it's quite warm. I sleep with a sheet 6 months of the year, and they're pretty breathable, but I couldn't sleep with this during the summer. So what that means is as a user of a weighted blanket, there are 6 months of the year I can't use it. I don't use it. I've literally just got it out this week. That's why I thought about doing a video, because I pulled it out and thought, I'm going to do a video on this. And that's a little bit limited. Now, if you live in a cold climate, you could use it all year. I'm moving back to Australia, and I'm going to pretty much have the same problem. I'm going to be only able to use this 6 months of the year at tops. So to me, it's got to be, nighttime temperature has to be under 20 degrees to justify having a blanket of this thickness, which is just starting to happen now in October. And even now I'm borderline whether I should use it or not. Now, I'm a pretty hot person in the sense that I sweat like a hog on heat when I'm very hot. You may not be, so maybe your threshold of blanket heat sheet ratio is different, but that's to me has been a little bit limiting in the sense of, I can't use it for 6 months of the year. Another thing to be aware of is I am married. I share a double bed with my wife. She didn't want a double duvet weighted blanket, so she got it for Christmas as a single bed one. So she's now to get a single duvet, so we have to get rid of our double duvet, and now we sleep kind of like in separate like duvets. Now, and the way the weighted blanket is it kind of like, you sleep under it and then it's kind of locks you in a little bit. So, when we're not a couple that cuddle in the morning or anything like that. Maybe if you are, you'll have to kind of open it up and let them in, or open it up and get out. So it's not really been a problem for me, but you have to be aware of that if your partner doesn't want it, then you're kind of separate a little bit inside your bed. The other thing to be aware of, again, these are small things, is I toss and turn quite a bit at night. My wife complains that the weighted blanket gets thrown onto her. That annoys her. So if I do turn, I try to kind of move it to the left. I sleep on the left side of the bed, and often, because it is weighted, it slips off the bed, and I wake up in the night a little cold, and the weighted blanket is on the floor, and I got to pick it up. So these are small details. They're a little annoying, but not necessarily reasons not to buy it. So let's look at the promise, okay? Because I'd like to then talk about why I really like a weighted blanket, why I really actually love my weighted blanket. I think they're amazing, but not really for the thing that gets promised online. So if you go into the many websites that specifically sell weighted blankets, not necessarily on Amazon, but you just go to a specific online shop that sells and specializes in weighted blankets, there's a series of, not promises, but claims they make. And there are two primary ones, which is to do with reducing insomnia and having a better night's sleep. And the second is reducing anxiety. And the third is often they're very comfortable and they feel really nice. But in terms of, this is a YouTube channel on reducing trauma and healing trauma. I'm looking at this weighted blanket. Could this be a good tool for trauma survivors to reduce their anxiety and to relieve insomnia, which is often a common symptom of trauma? And so they're the claims that are made on many of these weighted blanket websites, and they seem to quote the same sort of material or the same kind of fact that it decreases serotonin, so decreases not cholesterol.
2 hours later.
They make the same claim that increases serotonin and decreases cortisol, or stress hormone. And I've gone on a few different sites and seen the same claim, same with insomnia. So when I did look into that and I tried to dig a little bit deeper, is this claim backed up by actual real scientific data? It appears like it isn't, or if it is, it's very scarce, which is what I came across. A studying these claims saying that, it could be and it might be, but really there isn't a lot to back it. So I think in terms of an actual scientific reality, does it reduce anxiety? It appears like it isn't scientifically valid. Now, if you look at mindfulness and meditation, there is a ton of research, scientific research, that says if you do these mindfulness practices, it will have this result and reduce your anxiety. So there is a lot of data, a lot of science behind that claim. The claim of weighted blankets doesn't seem to hold in the same way. Or they say, in our study, 75% of our participants said it decreased their insomnia. Okay, where is this study? Was that just 74% means grandma, your wife and someone else. Like, you shouldn't really make big claims like that without linking to this could have been a group of 10 people. So I think in terms of the veracity of these claims, it seems a little weak. But then what you end up going off is people's anecdotal experience, and you can't dismiss that. Just because something isn't necessarily studied doesn't mean it doesn't have some validity. And if you look up reviews on Amazon, you read people's feedback, some people do really say this has really helped me, and I sleep better, and for various reasons X, Y, and Z, this really has helped my anxiety. So I don't think they should be dismissed. I think in my experience, I used the weighted blanket from like Christmas through to May. I've stopped using it. I'm going to start using it. Has my anxiety increased since I've stopped using it? My answer is no. And I would like to think my strategies and methods for reducing my anxiety aren't all sort of dissolved by taking away a weighted blanket. So I think to imagine that this object could reduce your anxiety in any significant way, I think is, I just think it's kind of unrealistic. Why would that why would that be? So in my experience, using it or not using it has had no impact on my anxiety. So I wouldn't say that, and it's also had no impact on the depth of my sleep or the comfortability of my sleep. So there are a lot more stronger variables in my life that affect my anxiety, my sleep, than whether I am or am not using a weighted blanket. So for me, I would say no, it hasn't affected my anxiety negatively or positively, or my sleep negatively or positively. So why do I love my weighted blanket? And I really do love my weighted blanket. And I'm not one to really love objects or things, like whether I get a phone or a set of knives or a car or a house. Like I don't really care. I mean, to me, objects are just functional things. I don't hold a lot of emotional attachment to many things, but I really like my weighted blanket. It's one of the first gifts I got a long time that I generally felt excited about. I felt excited taking it out of the cupboard. Maybe excited is too strong a word. I'm looking forward to using it. So it's an object that I kind of really like, which is unusual for me. And let me tell you why I really like it and how much I like it. Let me tell you a little anecdote. I was lying in bed the other night and I said, look, I really missed you. I really love you. I've been thinking about being with you all day. And my wife said, oh, that's really sweet. Thank you. And I said to her, no, I was talking to my weighted blanket. Ba-boom. Now, obviously that didn't really happen. If it did, it would be a little weird. But yes, that's kind of, I'm very attached to my weighted blanket. I really like it. I've been looking forward to getting it out. And let me tell you why. And it's really just as simple as when you get inside it, and particularly when it's cold, particularly when you're really tired, and you get into bed and you snuggle in it and you feel the weight of it press on you, there is just something very pleasant about it. There's something very pleasurable, whether it activates some subconscious feeling of being pushed against your mother's breast when you're breastfeeding. I don't know what it is, like what the subconscious or nervous system response is, but it does feel really nice. It feels really calming, and it feels very snuggly. So I like it. It makes going to bed just a little bit more pleasurable. It's just a little moment. Now, I use it for 4 to 5 months. Am I like that every time I get into bed? No. I mean, sometimes just there are things going on. I'm not like snuggling like this every night. But it has added to the pleasure of going to bed. And I like going to bed. I like going to sleep. So it's added to that a little bit more. And I enjoy it. So to me, it's not about anxiety or deeper sleep. It's just a nice sensation to get into bed and to feel the weight of it. It definitely does do something to me. But at the same time, if it disappeared, I probably wouldn't lose inverted commas sleep over it. I want my weighted blanket back, but if it got stolen, I wouldn't be, freaking out or anything like that. I can't sleep without it. So to me, I've really enjoyed having it. I'm really glad my wife bought it for me. I'm really glad to getting it out now and using it. But I'm heading off to Australia. I'm going to be putting it in a crate. I'm not going to see it for 4 months. Okay, it's okay. I'll look forward to opening up again. If you have anxiety, you have trauma, it's probably something that you might really enjoy. Maybe not. For me, it has been. So my recommendation would be I really would recommend it. It's been a real benefit to me. I really like it. It hasn't delivered on the things that it claims, and I wouldn't get it for that reason. It's just, it makes going to bed more of a comfortable and pleasurable experience, and that's a great thing because we go to bed every night. It's a really pleasant experience to have, to feel pressed on and light enough to feel it, but not so much to feel obviously you're kind of suffocating. So that would be my recommendation. This is my review on a weighted blanket. If you've had a weighted blanket and you've had a negative or positive experience, please put it in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Thank you for listening and letting me weigh in on weighted blankets. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Take care of yourself, and bye bye.